Hi everyone, welcome back to Venus on the Half Shell. This is Chef Gigi. This is an almond roll, and I am, repurposing, reusing some sifted powdered sugar on my pound cake, a sour cream pound cake. So you can do that, of course, when the powdered sugar, um, it's going to sink into the cake. So I'm talking kind of quietly because it's Sunday out here. I can do the same thing on these brown butter tea cakes. And I also still have painted chocolates and caramel. So um, this is just our coffee clutch moment out here. Here we go. At Venus on the Half Shell. That works. So, and there's a squirrel. We have wildlife out here, living out in the redwoods, and so that's pretty exciting. And just talking about different. For one thing, I highly recommend. So I was looking in our San Francisco date book, which is delivered up into the Redlands. And this is, and I highly recommend it. This is Linda Ronstadt. So she's a pretty phenomenal person on many levels. And there is an incredible documentary called Sound of My Voice, because unfortunately, I believe she has Parkinson's disease. This is a documentary. I highly recommend it. And she's like had such an incredible career, and just her background growing up. I want to say New Mexico, but it might be Arizona because I've forgotten. But growing up with her dad's music and mariachi bands, and so, and then her career, because of course, like in the late 60s and the 70s, she was phenomenally known for rock and pop, but she morphed and she changed and she introduced kind of the world and this country to indigenous music, and she wanted to embrace her own heritage, so mariachi bands, and that was really great for the community as well, because it introduced people to a new style of music. Well, it's not new, it's really old, but I just mean, introduce people who had never heard of. This is our morning cafe clutch out here. I'm doing it out here just because it's actually a little noisier inside. I have the laundry going and the dishwasher going, so I like this Northern California weather. It's kind of foggy, it's kind of not, and pretty soon I'm going to go to the beach, but I have my sister coming over to, she's doing some house watching, and so I'm going to leave her some of this pastry, which again is an almond baklava roll and a sour cream pound cake. But back to Linda Ronstadt. So that was one thing in our Sunday paper, which is called Date Book, that I highly recommend. And so now she's come out with a book, and I think a team of writers has helped her, or just one person has helped her though, author a cookbook on the foods she grew up with. And I saw a little clip on YouTube about it, and it just reminded me. And then coincidentally, I happen to have this from the library, which again, incredible documentary. I got it from our public library, but you can get it, of course, online. And because there's incredible footage of her, and it made me, I was honestly never a huge fan of hers. I mean, I grew up with like my older siblings' music, and so grew up hearing it, and it was on the radio. Back in the day, we had the radio, which was great. So I grew up, for sure. But I also knew she was also in American music, like the Pirates of Penzance. So she also took American Broadway music to a whole different level, which was exciting for American Broadway and musicals. So she's done a ton of things and been really creative and really adaptable with her sound, which is something, you know, you got to admire in any career, to keep challenging oneself, you know. And she talks about that a lot, but she's lost her voice, I think, by and large. And she probably lives in the San Francisco Bay Area or has a few homes. And she, in the documentary as well, it shows her going back to her family home and singing with her nephews and singing with, you know, family, and in the way she grew up. And it shows her in the late 60s or maybe mid 60s, like sort of singing at home. So it really came full circle, singing at home. So she always had a passion about what she was doing, which I read a Warren Buffett statement that said the real key to success comes down to 4 simple words, which is love what you do. And I've said it before in other videos, but not everybody understands or knows, you know, including myself, like, for a lot of reasons about, but anyway, about what maybe a primary passion is or a primary gift. And some people have a few, very select few, have this incredible gift that is like, you know, a divine gift, universal gift, whatever you want to say. But it's like unexplainable, the incredible amount of, you know, like, I don't know what you say, like a savant, a Mozart or something, just has. But a lot of people struggle to find their voice. Definitely including me, and including, like, so Linda Ronstadt, somebody like that, very inspirational of anybody who's at success level, including Buffett, Warren Buffett, very inspirational. Because, like, especially when I hear, like, he's living in his, I think the home he and his wife bought like 50 or 60 years ago, and he's just like a guy, and he's a, you know, a billionaire, but he's just, you know, using his car. Anyway, this is Cafe Clutch at Venus on the Half Shell. I highly recommend this Linda Ronstadt documentary, which came out 3 or 4 years ago. But on top of it, she's doing a cookbook. So in a weird way, as a chef, I'm not that into cooking, because, like, I think it's like busman's holiday is how it's explained. Most cooks I know, they do not really cook a lot at home. So when people go, oh my God, you must, you know, like, no, because at home, I just kick back. At home, after 14 or 16-hour days, you know, God, especially, I never did it because I really was never into fast food. That's one good thing about sort of growing up with health. And so, because I grew up with a lot of California health, which was also a drag, but it's also really good. And so, but like a lot of the guys I even worked with in Europe, they would just go for fast food. They would just go for McDonald's. They would just go for McDonald's after like a 16-hour shift or whatever. They would just go and have McDonald's, and that was good. But you know, because I never really liked fast food. This is the other thing. Or, you know what it is too, is like, I was never into eating animal fast food. And I do still eat meat, you know. I don't know about that. That's a whole different topic. I do know a lot about it, but I just mean, I still do. But the thing is, the practices of factory farming for fast food establishments, I'm not down with at all, you know. There's a squirrel out there. I really don't know about that, because the thing is, like, my great-grandfather came over from Wales, and, you know, the only skill he had, and he apprenticed as, he came over at 12. And it's crazy, you know, what people do and did, and to this day. But he came over, and he Went up to the Gold Country in California, which is where the 49ers, Gold Country, that's where they found gold. But and they did other mining up there as well. And so a lot of immigrants from whatever background, they sold whales, lots of lots of mining, right? Terrible, tough stories of miners. But they go up to he had some relatives up there, they go up to where they know what to do and how to use whatever skill they have. And so a lot of miners went up there. This is Food and Wine. And I was going to say, is the French Laundry worth the splurge? This is located in the Napa Valley. And honestly, it's not. It's not worth the splurge. A couple of years ago when I turned 40, I had 2 friends from high school who took me up there for my 40th a couple of years ago. And then actually my nephew, I guess his girlfriend's family took him there also a couple of years ago, right after me. This is cold coffee, so it's not that appetizing. And it's not worth the splurge. And I'm a chef, but the thing is I think because it's my trade, or I know because it's my trade, we are the toughest critics because we know the food costs, we know the labor that went in. So I'm always appreciative of the labor that went in. Oh, wow, yes. But I also know, but it's also, so it can be very pretentious, What can you say? But it's not just that it's a pretentiousness. Okay, you see this? This is, so they're always just, sometimes it's almost gratuitous ideas to me. So they've fried a whole chicken arm, the claw, coming out of a bun, Yeah, the whole meat thing, to be honest, like, who am I to say? Because, like a farmer in rural Argentina, or, raising goats in the arid hills of Sicily. I'm serious. Like, or a goat herder, because there's still people living close to the earth. I mean, how, I don't know how to re-educate, and do I have the right to re-educate the whole world on that? But I mean, how can you take away people's livelihood? That's what they know how to do. One does do it. There's Heifer International, Heifer, Heifer International. Well, they're actually buying animals for people. They're actually, through donations, they're buying a family a goat, maybe in Africa or just areas. There's housing all around here, so that's where I'm going. C'est la vie. So that's why I'm like, the neighbors up there, they're blending smoothies. I'm just here doing my thing and saying good morning on a Sunday in Northern California to the world, or anybody who happens to be watching. And I welcome your suggestions. You can email me, you can leave comments. Hopefully they're positive comments, or don't bother leaving them, because that's just putting more negativity into the world. And nobody needs that, There's like enough. And if you do, I'll just send you a heart emoji back, a heart click, because I'm wishing you all the best out there. You're doing something with something out there. So lots of ideas. Ukrainian chef reclaiming borscht. So one thing is, it's just like anywhere, there's lots of so borscht, Russian, right? But the thing is there's overflow wherever you go along borders. Back to Linda Ronstadt talking about the influences of the border of Mexico to New Mexico and Arizona, where she grew up. She grew up in Arizona. And that's about it. So I'm gonna head out to the beach again. even if I didn't have time for an animal, to have an animal. And then I started volunteering when I was um, still teaching full-time at Job Corps, and I volunteered on the weekends. And then things just happened. And then every time I went to volunteer, my little dog, he's watching a squirrel. My little dog would push a stuffed, this is a true story, a stuffed starfish through his little gate at me. Because so he came, when I adopted him, he came wanting to fetch and to play. So somebody taught him that, but somebody also dropped him off at Animal Care and Control. And he was dropped off twice, meaning a family took him, or people took him, or a person took him, couldn't handle him. Squirrel, they're wanting, I'll put out some nuts. And so, don't adopt a kid. Don't adopt an animal. Don't adopt an animal either until, that's one thing that happened in COVID. I mean, I get it. They're comforting. They're really comforting. And for some people, kids are too. Don't have a kid. Don't adopt a kid if you're not prepared to give that kid time, resources, money. One thing I really feel after working with at-risk youth is, why don't governments push people more through education and public service announcements to adopt and foster kids? Because it's honestly pretty much the easiest thing in the world to biologically have a kid, right? Let's be honest. But to take care of a kid, and that is through adulthood, and give that kid time, resources, energy that they deserve, that's a different thing. So that has been the trek through our infinity of a happy Sunday. And after quite a weekend of regrouping, rethinking all the stuff, and being like outed about my channel, thank you again, Melinda. I'm just wishing you all a beautiful day. And here's to you at Venus on the Half Shell. I'm gonna go feed the squirrels, and then I'm gonna go to the beach. So this guy, he helped get me really a lot healthier, and after leaving Job Corps, I kept off a bunch of weight. But I'm not into any kind of body shaming ever. It's just that I don't want to carry around extra weight for health reasons. That's what it comes down to. So sending all kinds of love and light out there in the world. Have a great day at Venus on the Half Shell. Thank you for stopping by. This is Chef Gigi. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.